So looking at who had the best offseason in the American League East really comes down to the other four teams outside of Boston. And they're all going to compete this year. And they all were, well, most were big game hunting, I would say. You had the Orioles pull off the Corbin Burns trade, the Yankees pull off the Juan Soto deal. You had the Blue Jays almost getting Shohei Ohtani on a plane that never actually arrived. So there was a lot of that going on, a lot of big moves that were, tried to be made, that these teams tried to make, and ones that actually were made. Which team stands out for you as the team that did the most to help their cause this year?
I think the Yankees definitely did the most to help themselves out. As you said, Soto, Burns, maybe those two cancel out and we can consider whether those guys will stick around going forward since they're both in their final year before free agency. That's kind of a separate conversation altogether. But you look at that Marcus Stroman again, a great addition, a local kid to that rotation. Alex Verdugo taken from a rival, and then I think Trent Grisham is one of those players who's played almost the entirety of his career on the West Coast in San Diego, other than that rookie season in Milwaukee. And I think Yankees fans are really going to love him, especially if he brings the mustache back. If he gets that going in New York, I mean, Yankees fans are going to adore him. Gold Glove caliber defense in center field. I think all of those additions plugged up some serious holes for the Yankees and make them kind of that team in the AL East that had the best offseason.
So, as a man with a good mustache yourself, I might have you do a top mustache rankings at some point this year as an article for us. But yeah, the Yankees to me do stand out. When you get Juan Soto, you pair him with Aaron Judge. It's a pretty awesome offseason. And yet, the thing about it is, I'm still left a little bit underwhelmed by the Yankees just because. And I guess I understand paying Blake Snell, for that might have been $60 million or something crazy. And I understand not doing that. But even if they were to now just pivot and get Jordan Montgomery back at the very, very end of this offseason, right before the season starts, that would do a lot for me. I'm just not sure about the depth in this rotation. That's the one thing. And they had to give up that depth to acquire Juan Soto, but it was a lot to give up. And now it's just the worst thing that could have happened, the Garrett Cole injury does. And now I look at this team that should have been right up there among the tops when it comes to World Series odds. And all of a sudden it's like, how good are they going to be? And now you're seeing, have you seen some of the projection models on the Yankees that are like ridiculously low? And we're trying to figure out if this is real or not. I guess that's just because of the pitching, but it's a little scary if you're a Yankees fan to think about one season with Juan Soto and a massive question mark in that rotation.
Yeah, if Garrett Cole is out for longer than currently expected, that's definitely going to be problematic. As you brought up the fact that they didn't get Snell and at least not Montgomery yet, or we can definitely say at this point in recording, they're not going to have Jordan Montgomery for opening day or even the first week or so of the season. So regardless, they are behind in that capacity. If I'm grading Boston on that curve or putting it in context, I should say, and say, what the expectations were and not filling a certain need. The Yankees, I think, probably did fall a little bit short in that, especially when you compare it with Baltimore, right? Because Baltimore, okay, I like who the Yankees got better than Baltimore, who, also were able to kind of shore up the back end of the bullpen and signing closer Craig Kimbrell. So that was huge. But I think ultimately, when you look at this team who finally was able to break through in the postseason last year. And, what do they really need? A more veteran ace? They got it. That's a big check, right? That's a big check plus for them. And then, a closer after their guy goes down last year in Felix Batista. That's huge right there. So I think, they send a message to the team that, hey, we're going after it. This is our time right now. And so for them to, have been able to go out and do that, that that does lead me to believe that, maybe the Orioles were the team that had that better offseason, despite not having the better players. What that message was that they sent to their clubhouse and their fan base, that we did everything that we could, to win this season. Maybe you give them a knock for not putting Jackson Holiday on that opening day roster, but you still had other really solid options to fit in there, in their infield and on the bench.
I agree with you 100%. That's where I was going to go next. I'm glad you did that because to me, I do believe that the Orioles had the best offseason in this division because we can't just knock them for being too good to not have that many holes. But they have an unbelievable team already. They didn't have to do much. But like you said, they have needed to trade for that pitcher forever. And I know on just baseball, the amount of articles that we did over the past 2 years, the different podcasts and videos about when is Baltimore going to finally get an ace, and they didn't just get Dylan Cease and granted Cease was an extra year of control, but or Tyler Glass now. They got Corbin Burns. And with new ownership, I even think there is at least a degree of hope that if Burns has an amazing season and he enjoys himself, maybe new ownership will actually re-up with him in the offseason and sign him in free agency. But right now, Corbin Burns is the type of pitcher that if you get him to the postseason, along with Grayson Rodriguez, and we'll see what the health situation is with Bradish, but there's a really good chance that Burns can be the guy that leads you to the promised land. You needed that. They got it. And then, like you mentioned, Craig Kimbrell, beginning of the offseason, really underrated addition. They spent for a top flight reliever that I think who knows if he'll actually still be the closer by October, but during the season, he is going to be able to save a lot of games for them. He's going to be a great veteran presence. I think the Orioles had the best offseason, but we would be remiss if we didn't at least mention the Toronto Blue Jays. It just feels like they struck out in a lot of places, though.
Yeah, they did. Otani was supposed to be that target. The Blue Jays were kind of the San Francisco Giants of this offseason where, they kind of swung and missed and weren't able to maybe make those major improvements. They brought Kevin Kiermaier back, so I think that helps, fortify their defense. Isaiah Kiner Falefa, okay, nice piece, right? He's projected to be their starting third baseman on opening day. And you like the veteran presence of Justin Turner there. So I think that's important. But for everything that they're trying to do right now, given that it's 2 years here, 2 years left remaining with Bichette and the Vlad Guerrero Jr. era, asterisk, we'll see if those guys do get extended to go beyond that. We'll kind of wait and see. No additions really to the bullpen. So I think again, expectations being what they were and the window of contention of where they're at, they definitely fell short of what they should or could have done.
Yeah, I don't think we can look at it as a bad offseason because they're rounded out their roster. They did what they had to do, but in a division that is still pretty open for them, a team that is absolutely ready to win, they just didn't make the big move that puts them over the top at a time where you would think they would try to make that swing. And we'll see if it ends up coming back to haunt them or not. They certainly still have the talent in house to get it done this year, but you would have liked to see them, obviously, you can't say they had to get Shohei Otani. That was a very unique circumstance, but their follow up after missing out could have been a little bit better. Uh, I think overall, though, we have come to a conclusion on the AL East. The Orioles had the best offseason.